King's Disease 3 isn't just the finale of one of the most acclaimed album series in recent memory. It's a celebration of Nas's over 30-year legacy in the rap game and culture as a whole. Through 16 core tracks, Nas defines his entire life's work in just 49 minutes of runtime. From his lyrical ability, which sounds sharper than ever, to the miraculous score that's arranged by Hit-Boy, this album is truly the ultimate Nas experience, and it may be the most beautiful victory lap record that has ever been recorded in the history of music. We are transcended into this world on the dreamlike intro track, Ghetto Reporter. Nas defines this moment best with the line, "Look yourself in the mirror, tell me times ain't the scariest," as this is what this song is about at its core. Nas is not proving anything to outsiders. He's not here to appeal to anyone. This song is a complete self-reflection and analysis of Nas's mind, and we're just lucky enough to witness it. From Nas's rap career to changes in hip-hop, all the way to the current state of the world, Nas is just as prophet-like as ever, but what separates this from his previous masterworks is the heightened level of experience he has at age 49. While most rappers are well past their prime by this age, Nas uses his wisdom to shine brighter than ever on the song Legit. Over a majestic soul sample and faint yet serenading sounds from a jazz band, Nas is center stage here. As the jazzy sounds evolve into something greater, Nas uses this lavish loop to make even the darkest bits of his human experience come out with the most beautiful and soul-shaking presentation. From talking about the importance of owning land, to revealing the burden of loneliness that comes along with being the greatest of all time, as he says, Nas instones so much knowledge in this moment that could only ever be said from somebody sitting in his chair. This nourishment of Nas's experiences only get better on the track Sun. Looking at the title of the track, the name of the song is spelled in the way many Queens natives pronounce the word, and from this tribute to his roots, followed by the extended verse where Nas masterfully articulates and summarizes everything that made his place of origin so special. King's Disease 3 evolves into a piece which backs up the knowledge Nas spews with autobiographic commentary of where these seeds were planted. Another highlight in this track is when Nas is showing the competition Queens had with other areas in New York, specifically drawing to his feud with Jay-Z through the bars "No beefs or rivals, they play an ether on title," and later he goes on to say, "Dissecting bars from Takeover, sometimes I text Hova like this ain't over." While Nas is saying this in a friendly and full circle type of way, it's great to look back at the cross New York rivalries he's been a part of while also showing where him and Jay-Z stand in the open today. With this being Nas's fourth straight album with Hit-Boy in just a little over 2 years, Nas makes sure to acknowledge the dynamic duo they forged on Michael and Quincy, comparing themselves to the legendary pairing of Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones, who are responsible for records like Off the Wall and Thriller, obviously. Nas looks back at how this duo formed, and even further than that, all of the searchings it took to find a collaborator who he clicks this well with. Just to highlight the genius of Nas's pen here, he name drops various groups and duos throughout the track, tying together his message by alluding to ensembles such as the Kids in South Park, CeeLo Green and Danger Mouse, who are also known together as Gnarls Barkley, the late James Caan and Ray Liotta, who are of course a pair of legendary mob actors who we lost this year, and my favorite line of them all is when he says, "Gang members got nothing on these congressmen," which just brings this whole idea of duos and duality to a whole new level. It's this type of wordplay that glues the track's core motives together, and if there was ever a song that makes us realize how special what Nas and Hit-Boy have accomplished together truly is, it's this one right here. Lyrically slashing through one of the most glamorous yet intense trap beats that hip-hop has seen in quite some time, and yes, I did say trap beats, 30 is a moment where Nas taps into his Braggadocio side to give himself flowers for surviving as both an artist and a man throughout the course of his 30-year career. In addition to the mark of greatness Nas knows he's at, he's also not afraid to heckle at his competition, even when there's a legend involved like Pete Rock, who he calls out on this track for threatening to sue Nas over Illmatic royalties. While Nas disses one legendary producer here, he excites us about the prospect that he and DJ Premier still may release their once teased and highly demanded collab album, which indicates to us that even 30 summers into his musical career, Nas is far from over when it comes to leaving his mark on the culture. Hood to Hood is a musically toned down anthem whose glamorous instrumental loops faintly in the background as Nas continues to hit us with priceless knowledge and lyrical entertainment. Nas poses powerful ideas in this track regarding such topics as ownership, identity, and unity. The way Nas's graceful storytelling shows light at the end of the tunnel to relatively dark situations is a testament to his greatness. Between this knowledge and the bridges on the track, which features Nas shouting at a ton of different areas, 49-year-old rapper really ties together this moment in such a fulfilling way. From Nas's bravado to the boom bap beat, Recession Proof serves as a modernized callback to Nas's stylistic roots, and between the combination of this sonic palette and Nas's pen game, which does not miss a raunchy detail, this moment is an epic narration of sharded memories in Nas's past that help define his worth today. In the grand scheme of this track, Nas's unsparing details all go back to show his own self-worth, and from here, he alludes to the actual recession we are facing in the United States right now to say that you must make yourself recession-proof in today's day and age, otherwise you can be shut down and you can be controlled. Intoxicating the listener with a lavish soul sample beat, Reminisce is a pristine moment where Nas shines over the glowing production. What makes this track interesting is that Nas is not looking back at his childhood or his early days as a rapper. He's reminiscing on where he was just a few years ago. He talks about the struggle to stay relevant and move forward, even comparing himself to Tom Brady, as they are two of the oldest in their craft who are still competing at the highest level possible. What's wild about this cut is that on the second half, the soul sample beat turns into a drill beat, which Nas destroys. Yeah, I'm really serious. This section of the track is brief, but it's fitting that in a moment where Nas talks about the struggle to properly adapt and to stay relevant, that he's now floating over the same type of production that all of New York is. And I will say, this part of the song is truly perfect. Nas plays to the whole environment of a drill track super well, and this portion of the song is short enough where we get the message and we are just left to think about everything, and we're left in awe of this quick little Nas drill cut. I would take a Nas drill album in the future though. This was honestly kind of fire. I kind of want to hear him over more drill beats because he does kill them better than most rappers do. Bridging the album's two halves together, Serious Interlude continues to enrich us with Nas's point of reference, but we don't learn about the highs of his life. Instead, he tells us about some of the lowest points he's ever endured through, including broken relationships with women he thought were special, friendships that burned out of jealousy, the dangers the choice of dropping out of school could have rained down upon him, and how being around the wrong people almost cut Nas's journey short entirely. The 49-year-old's ability to get so open to us and unravel these experiences in front of our eyes is truly breathtaking, and the background vocals on this track from Mario just add more power to a one-of-a-kind moment. Rapping over some of the most angelic production he ever has, I'm on Fire is the pinnacle of King's Disease 3's wealthy sound, and topically, this track serves as a sequel to King Disease 2's Rare, as Escobar tells us the form he is in at this point in his career, and how no one can come close to rivaling him. While the first half of WTF SMH is very clunky, and with Nas reiterating the terms WTF and SMH on the bridge, it really just sounds like he's trying to be way too hip, and it's a little cringe, but even at the lowest point on this record, the song is still solid, as the track's second half is really good, and I really wish this was just the entire song, because the first half really does suck. Over a harmonious soul sample beat, Nas talks about how peers all around him suffer due to the poor choices they make, and how many of the rappers in today's game don't have the same respect for the craft him and other MCs had back in the day. While this can sound a little old-heady to certain people, this is a true sentiment, and it really does show Nas's honor for hip-hop and the craft as a whole. The dreamlike coding of this song's second half flows seamlessly into the song Once a Man, Twice a Child, with its soft instrumental, which is wrapped together through Hit Boy's son's first ever song credit, as he has this little vocal on the track, which is both charming and essential to the narrative of the song. This track feels like an indirect sequel to Second Childhood from Stillmatic, but in the greater sense, the concept of life and how we have one childhood at the beginning of our lives and then one as we are elderly is truly an obstacle we need to think about. Nas poses the idea that often the average person may look at their elderly years as time where they can relax and look back on all they have done in their lifetime. It can also be a period where you are more helpless than you were as a child, and for these reasons, Nas emphasizes that you need to make your adult years everything you want them to be, because you truly don't know what will happen next. From the fast-paced drums to the vocals of a crowd partying, all the way to the saxophone which glues everything together, Get Light is a solid intermission in this album where Nas glosses over his accomplishments and reveals to us more strategies and philosophies from his winning playbook. In terms of album sequencing, this track is placed perfectly, as between its much more relaxed environment both topically and sonically, it lets you take one more deep breath before entering the final run of tracks on this project. This break was especially needed for the song First Time, as Nas challenges listeners to reminisce on when they first heard himself, and it really does depict the whole concept of hearing an artist for the first time and having them evoke this magic into your soul really well. Nas brings this moment full circle by talking about different times when he heard legendary artists including Slick Rick, Biggie, Tupac, and as far as Kendrick Lamar, who he honors in a very nice way. And this track doesn't just show Nas's grace for hip hop, but it does such a good job at just evoking magic in our hearts. It brings you back to the first time you may have heard your favorite artist, and it really does depict all of this so well. Serving as one of the most intense tracks on the entire album, Beef is an unforgiving moment that shows Nas matching his wisdom with aggression as he raps from the perspective of beef, narrating through conflicts, the outcomes of them, and the evolution of drama through the ages. The fact Nas can still make an anthem like 1996's I Gave You Power with context that spans all the way from his era to today's rap game is a true testament to his ability not just as an MC, but as a true prophet. On the outro track, Don't Shoot, Nas uses the final moments of the King's Disease series to address the most important topic of our generation, the destruction of life. Nas layers this anthem in a two-half, powerful message where he talks about trying to stop violence and promote self-love in the process. There are many hard-to-accept messages Nas tells us on this track, which is why he uses the phrase "don't shoot the messenger" over and over again. The most important section of this track is where Nas talks about our generation's struggles with depression and use of drugs to cope with these issues, and Nas destroys this ideology, telling listeners that if they get their minds right, medicine will not be needed to cope with any of the problems that they face because our minds are strong enough to handle them on their own. And this is a really important message that not a lot of rappers say, and not a lot of rappers have had the articulation to say it quite like Nas does here. Ending this album series off on such a powerful note, Nas truly does leave the King's Disease era that he's taken hip-hop by storm with by leaving us with one of the most important thinking pieces possible. All in all, King's Disease 1 and 2 felt like great comeback efforts that reasserted that Nas could exist in today's rap game, but what makes the third and final chapter of this series different is that now it feels like Nas is taking over hip-hop again in a way that really only one other MC his age has, and that's Jay-Z on 444. Nas is not commanding us through his cocky flexes, but he's challenging our minds and opening our hearts by letting us in on various pieces of his priceless knowledge. Doing all of this over the glorious soundscape which is done by Hit-Boy, and I will say this is the best production job of his entire career. These lessons are given to us on one of the most pristine musical platters we've ever seen. All in all, King's Disease 3 is an amazing album and a real contender for 2022's Album of the Year as a result of all it accomplishes. And before I get into my rating of this record, I will rank the track list, which looks like WTF SMH at number 16. At 15 we have Get Light, 14 we have Hood to Hood, at 13 we have Ghetto Reporter, at 12 we have Reminisce, at 11 we have Recession Proof, at 10 we have Once a Man, Twice a Child, at 9 we have First Time, at 8 we have Serious Interlude, at 7 we have Beef, at 6 we have Michael and Quincy, at 5 we have Sun, at 4 we have Legit, at 3 we have Don't Shoot, at 2 we have 30, and at 1 we have I'm on Fire. For all of the reasons I've said, I will be giving King's Disease 3 one of the best scores I have this year with an 8.8 out of 10. Do you agree with my score? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell. It helps out the channel a ton. Mr. Fantastic Hip Hop, signing out. Have a great day.